Hello and welcome to the Next in Line podcast, where we are helping to prepare you for whatever is next in line. As always, I am your host, Chance Pitts, and I would like to thank you for tuning into this episode. Guys and gals, welcome into another episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Very excited to have you all in here for this solo conversation in personal development today. But before we get started, I want to take care of some housekeeping and announcements. Firstly, if you receive value from this episode or any other episode of the podcast, I would ask that you share the show with like-minded individuals who could receive that same kind of value. That's the best way for us to grow this movement and to reach more people and, in effect, guys, help more people reach their goals every single day. Now, along with that, you can also leave us a rating or review, like, subscribe, or just simply comment on whatever platform you find yourself listening on, and that'll help us pop up in the search bar a little bit earlier as people look for personal development and self-help type podcasts. Now, guys, besides that, you can keep up with the more current content and the more daily content that we put out on social media. That's at Next in Line Development on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We're also active in the DMs on all of those platforms. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot us a message there and we'd be happy to correspond with you there. Now, guys, for announcements, we have a few upcoming races that we've been talking about for a while. As we sit today, we are 7 weeks away from the KD 225, which will occur on October 23rd in Clinton, Missouri. That is going to be my first 200-plus mile ultramarathon that I will take on. Super stoked about that. We've got a great group of pacers and crew members going out there to support us, along with some great racers that will be running besides out there on the course. Couldn't be more stoked about that one. Really getting into the meat of the training cycle. Had a couple of big weeks, had a few big mileage runs here recently, so heading in the right direction for sure, getting ready for that race. Now, along with that, guys, we have one more race on the books. That's going to be the Brazos Bend 100 on December 2nd out in Needville, Texas. I most likely won't be running in any of the events out there. However, Michael Ruiz, who you've seen on the podcast a couple times prior, will be looking to knock out his first 100-mile ultramarathon. I'm super stoked for him. I know he's been putting in the work and had some big training weeks, including pacing out in Katy, as we get closer to that race. So super stoked for him to be taking that on. I know he's going to knock it out of the park. Hopefully we'll get some great content and be able to document some of that and put it out to y'all as well. So be on the lookout for that as we get closer. Now, if you want to get involved in any of the races we have, or if you've got a race you're thinking about doing and want to see if we would like to help participate or pace or anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out. A great place to do so is in the DMs, like I talked about. That's Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, at Next in Line Development on all three platforms. Now, guys, we've got the announcements out of the way. We've got the races out of the way. I would like to dive into our content for today, which is reigniting the fire. And firstly, what am I talking about when I say that? I am discussing the act of getting back in the swing of things, of standing back up whenever you've been knocked down and deciding to move back forward. You see, many of us, myself included, and so many other people who have found success in their personal development journeys are struggling with this very thing right now. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I had a few people in mind that I was targeting with this episode, along with myself. Don't worry, guys. But I wanted to lay this out there, and I wanted to put it into perspective just a little bit. And you might ask yourself specifically, why do we need to talk about this today? Well, because of the prevalence of this specific topic. You see, losing or coming up short can take the wind out of your sails at any given time. And every single day that we show up and decide to take on life, we find that life is a very worthy adversary. We find that it is something that is going to test us to our limits every time we turn around. Sometimes life has a way of just flat out beating us and putting us on our backs, sending us reeling backwards or to a spot to where we just feel like we can't get our feet under us. We can't make any forward progress. And it sends things in our direction that we can't even begin to prepare for, right? And sometimes this happens in one fell swoop. Just one time, a big punch, knockout style, comes your way and takes you down and ruins your entire day or your week or your month or whatever it is that you're finding yourself in the middle of. Maybe it's your development cycle as a whole. And sometimes there's a bunch of little punches and little obstacles here and there that just stack up and stack up. And over time, they throw us off of our game. They finally get to that one extra straw that lands and breaks the camel's back. And you know, when we get to that point, it really feels like our fire is burnt out. It really feels like we've been taking punches for so long, or that we've took that one big punch and we've been knocked down, and we're faced with that choice of standing back up or not. And sometimes it's faced with that total obstacle of figuring out, how do you even stand back up? And it feels like all of your drive, all of your passion, all of your reasons for jumping out of bed, just ready to kick the day's ass, have completely and utterly gone away from you. And it's when we get to that point that is extremely hard and we're extremely low in that spot and we feel like we can't pull ourselves out, but we have to. We have to lace up our shoes. We have to tighten that strap on that glove and come up swinging. We have to get a little spark going and try to ignite that fire one more time. Because it doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter who we are. It doesn't matter what we are. It doesn't matter how good of a person we are. It doesn't matter how many of those battles that we've fought and the toughest battles we think we've put ourselves through. Life's not going to back off. Things aren't going to become easier just because we want them to, or just because we've had a little bit of a rough patch. And you know, this might sound a little bit harsh. This might sound like I'm being somewhat unsympathetic, if you will. It might even sound like I don't understand your situation or what it is that you're going through. But trust me, I do. I've had to pull myself out of the trenches several different times. I've had to reignite that fire. I've had to tighten the strap on the glove and come up swinging more often than any of y'all would suspect. And the truth of the matter is, everyone that feels like you're in this spot, everyone that's dealing with these things, trying to figure out how to get back in, you're not alone. So many of us have dealt with this. Just recently, and I've talked about this a little bit, but just recently I've been dealing with a lot of different issues in my life that have kept me stressed, somewhat depressed, down, put out that fire in me, extinguished the passion in me. You see, work was just overwhelming me, the stresses of it. We are so short-staffed, it's not even funny. We've got half the individuals where I work that we had when we started, and the workload and the amount of revenue running through our company has almost doubled. It's ridiculous, honestly. It's hard to stay afloat. It's hard to keep my phone answered most days. Along with that, guys, in the midst of all that, my knee was having issues. I would get 1 to 3 miles into my runs and I couldn't keep going. I was literally felt like I was being jabbed in the side of my knee and I could not continue to run. And I was supposed to be training for a 225-mile race I had in less than 2 or 3 months. It's a scary thing. Along with that, guys, because I wasn't able to run, it kind of extinguished my passion and my drive for working out, right? I didn't have the motivation. I lacked the discipline, but I also didn't have the motivation. So therefore, my weight started climbing up. And along with that, I looked for comfort in certain areas and I started to eat very unhealthily. I started to think about indulging into things that didn't serve me anymore, like alcohol, like wanting to smoke cigars and all those things just to get my mind off of things, just for a little bit. And as we're dealing with all of these things, you throw a 1-month-old into the mix and things get extremely complicated extremely quickly. So, how do you get out of it? How do you pull yourself out of that situation? How do you find your path to becoming a version of you that you've been before? The version that's disciplined, the version that is motivated, that gets things done, that isn't stressed out at work all day, but actually enjoys waking up in the morning and taking on the tasks, enjoys getting out of bed and lifting those weights or putting in those miles or whatever it is that you do. Whatever your passion is, whatever fire you enjoy burning. Well, there's a few things that I chose to do and I had to do. And I worked through these for a very long time. It was really challenging getting myself to a point that I figured out exactly what it was that got me back on the right path. So I wanted to share a few of those things with y'all here today. The very first thing that helped me get back in the groove is understanding that teamwork makes the dream work. That's something we've said a million times, whether it's in my career, whether it's with some great friends that I've been around for a long time, but it's so true. Having the right group of individuals in your corner, even if it's just somebody to talk to, to vent all the frustrations out, if it's just somebody to check in and hold you accountable towards your goals and towards your dreams and towards your passions even, to make sure that you're getting out of bed every morning. Maybe that person's a very motivating individual. Maybe it's a group of motivating individuals. Maybe it's the one guy that will talk shit to you when nobody else will. And if he's listening to this episode, he knows exactly who he is. But maybe it's that guy that makes things a little tough on you, that calls you out, that doesn't make excuses, and he's not going to take your excuses either. It's that individual that holds you accountable and makes you do the work whenever you don't want to do the work. That guy's super important. Whatever your teamwork looks like, even if it's just an app, even if it's just something that someone that comes around and offers to go walk with you, offers to go run with you, offers to help share some of that workload with you, can help you get your mindset back on track and to the right place. Find that person or find that group of people. Sometimes it even looks like a coach, somebody to point you in the right direction, show you what you're doing wrong, show you why you're consistently having the issues or consistently making the mistakes that you've been making. Whatever it is, guys, find the right people. Find the people that fit the bill. Find the people that make you progress and make you try to be the person that you want to be every single day when you wake up. Next in that group of things that I've figured out here lately to help me ignite this fire again, I'm going to quote the late, great Jimmy Buffett, who passed away this past week. Changes in latitudes and changes in attitudes. Have you tried changing your environment? Have you tried stepping out of the box and doing things just a little bit different? Maybe if you're having issues with work, maybe there's a situation where you can work remote for just a little bit. Maybe there's a situation where you can take a vacation and forget about work for just a little bit. Step away completely, unplug, get yourself out of that spot that you've been in every single day. Give yourself a little bit of room to breathe in all of this. Because, guys, with the supply chains where they are, with demand where they are, with businesses where they are right now, industry as a whole, it doesn't matter which one you're in, but just work is overwhelming. It's overwhelming for teachers. It's overwhelming for operations people, sales people, any kind of construction, whatever it is you're in. It's challenging right now. That's just the name of the game. That is the season of all of this that we're in. Understand that you're not alone, but understand that it's your responsibility to take care of yourself in all of this. Change your environment. Let yourself step away. Change the way you do something. If you're sitting all day at work, stand up for a little while, get you a standing desk, something crazy like that, guys. It's crazy simple, I should say, that changes your perspective, changes your environment just a little bit, makes you have a little bit of something different whenever you go to plug in for the day. If it's not work, change your environment for your workouts. Maybe it's a different gym. Maybe it's a different running trail. Maybe it's a different biking trail. And maybe it's also the environment of the people you're around while you're doing those specific things. Maybe you're adding people in. Maybe you're taking people away that aren't congruent to what you're trying to do. Let's be real honest there. But whatever it is, guys, changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes, change the environment, switch it up, make a change. Put yourself in a spot where you want to get out there, where you're excited to get out there, where you're excited to get back into a groove. All you got to do is change that environment just a little bit, and it can have a world of difference. Next on that list, guys, and this is one that has honestly been there for me a lot in the past, and it's kind of what sparked this entire personal development journey for myself, is sometimes you got to make shit hit the fan. And what I mean by that, guys, is sometimes you have to put yourself in a situation where you do not give yourself a way out. Now, I'm not saying chop your left leg off and try to figure it out, make life hard on yourself. Nothing stupid like that, guys. What I'm saying is set a goal, commit to that goal, and don't give yourself a path out. Right now, for me, that goal looks like 225 miles in the middle of Missouri in the middle of October. I've got a big red button that I pushed that said, hey, this is either going to be good or it's going to be real bad. And I pushed that button. And it's coming down the pipe. There's no way out of it. I've put it out here to y'all. I put it out to so many people. I've got pacers committed to going out there with me. I've got people I'm sharing the trail with that are going to be side by side with me. I've got all of these individuals that know I'm supposed to be there. I'm supposed to have myself ready for an event like that, of that caliber. And they understand what this is going to take to get there. Shit's going to hit the fan October 23rd, whether I'm on that line ready to go or on it wishing I had a few more weeks to train. It's just part of life, guys. And maybe that looks a little bit different for you. We're not all out there burning down all kinds of miles. Maybe it's a different scale of running. Maybe it's that 5K you've been putting off. Maybe it's that event at work to where you set an appointment with somebody you've been pursuing for a long time, going after client-wise, and you haven't ever set up the meeting to go get it. Maybe shit hitting the fan is having that conversation with your boss about the things that you want in life and the things that you need to be successful on the path you want to be on. There's a lot of different examples with these. Maybe shit hitting the fan is setting that vacation that you've been needing to go on for a really long time and having everything together and set up perfect for you to be able to do that specific thing, to make sure that you got things taken care of financially so that this isn't a massive hindrance, to make sure that you got all your ducks in a row, that the world's not going to fall apart while you're gone. It's a way of making you strive and reach that goal, to complete that project so that you're at that point that when shit hits the fan, you're ready. Whatever it is, guys, sometimes you just have to give yourself absolutely no options. Sometimes you have to burn the ships. And I'm very fortunate that I have that in my life with this long race that I'm taking on, and with all these great people who are supporting me, and they're going to be a part of this thing because they are holding me accountable. They're pushing me towards that. And it really encompasses a lot of these things we've talked about up to this point. It even encompasses the teamwork that we've discussed on the first point. It encompasses that changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes kind of thing, because it made me get out and spend time on the trails. It made me adjust and find somebody to work with who could help me with my knee issues that were going on, who could help me with my training schedule that I've been just all over the map with, especially now that it's much shorter than it was with this knee injury I've been facing. But guys, that's a huge one. make yourself figure it out. Let shit hit the fan every once in a while. And the last point I'm going to make to y'all guys is if it's not time for shit to hit the fan, if it's not time for that huge goal, for that zero options thing for you to figure out, sometimes you got to celebrate the little victories. Sometimes you got to reflect and be happy with those things that are going right. Sometimes you get so dialed in and focused on all of those negative things going on around you and all of those different stressors that have come along and just put you into this funk, into this bad spot. You've been focused on those for so long that you forget that waking up and having the ability to get up and go to your honestly well-paying job is a blessing. To get to have a healthy child to love and to nurture and to raise is great. And it's hard to remember whenever they're up through the night every couple of hours and you're dealing with that. You know, sometimes little victories are having a car that starts and an AC that works in that car, and the ability to hop in that thing and go wherever you want to go. Honestly, pretty much whenever you want to go there. Whereas there's a lot of individuals in this world and in this country, honestly, and in this state, in the neighborhoods we live in, that don't have the same ability to do those things. It's celebrating all the individuals that can pick up the phone and call and just have a conversation with. The ones that'll listen to us vent. The ones that'll give us the time of day. The ones that genuinely care how we are doing and where we are at, especially in all of this craziness, the good, the bad, the ugly. The little victories are important. And another point on that, guys, is they might look a little bit different now. You see, if you're trying to reignite this fire, you're trying to get back on track like we're specifically discussing today, you might have been hitting home runs. You might have been hitting grand slams. You might have been running all these crazy ultra marathons. You might have been having everything go your way, achieving huge things, chasing big goals, and you got the rug pulled out from under you. And you're starting over again, trying to get this thing back on the tracks. Understand that this cycle for you and this place that you're at and these victories could look like singles and doubles. Sometimes they look like sacrifice flies so one run can score. It's not going to be the same caliber all the time. You're not going to go out and knock this thing out of the park every single day that you wake up. If you're running ultra marathons, sometimes it's just good to be able to go out and do a 5-mile run and not have anything hurting. Knees, ankles, IT bands, whatever it is. Maybe your bench PR was 225 and now it's down in the 180s. You're just not quite there anymore. But hey, being able to physically move and go do that and be able to start making progress and to healthily continue to make progress, that's a little victory. That matters. And these things can be on the path to that huge goal you set for yourself too. I don't want y'all to mistake that, guys. Little victories could be the metrics that you use to measure your progress as you're headed towards that big goal, as you're headed to that thing that scares the crap out of you. You can celebrate the little things here and there. You can celebrate the small successes, the incremental steps that you take on your path to where you're trying to go. And I can't express how important that is. So guys, that's really what I've got for you today. That's what I wanted to share. As you're trying to reignite that fire, remember these few things. Teamwork makes the dream work. Changes in latitudes and changes in attitudes can make all the difference. You got to make shit hit the fan sometimes. But also, make sure that you celebrate and appreciate the little victories in your life. And guys, if there's anything I can do to help you with your progress, if you find yourself in a bind, bogged down, dealing with all of the different things that the world can throw at you, and you don't think that you have a path forward, maybe you don't have anybody to talk to, maybe you don't have that teammate on your side, feel free to reach out to me, guys. I'd be glad to help. we've also got a great team of individuals who have all gone through those things, who've got a variety of experience dealing with all of these different avenues and different areas of life, who could help you and would be glad to help you. Because that's just as important, guys. Having people around you that have the solution whenever sometimes you might not have it. Sometimes you don't have that experience. And that's something I really want to make sure that I offer to y'all and allow y'all to take advantage of. Because I know I would not be where I'm at without those people. So if you've got anything you need from me or want from me or I can do to help you, don't hesitate to reach out, please. Now, guys, thank y'all for tuning into this episode. Thank y'all for sharing this episode and all the others that you received value from. It means the world to me. Together we can keep going down this path. We can continue our personal development. We can strive and hit goals on a daily and long-term basis just by honoring this discipline and these things that we're trying to do. And you can help pull yourself out of the bind whenever you get yourself in a low point by doing these few things. Guys, it's that simple. It's not easy, but it's that simple. Like I said, anything I can do for you, let me know. Y'all keep chasing goals, keep doing hard things, and always be prepared for whatever is next in line.